So first off, want to introduce kind of the topic, the different things we'll be talking about, the panelists, and then myself. So first off, today we're going to be talking all about unlocking data quality excellence, strategies and principles, specifically tactics that everybody here can use, things you can basically start to do today to move yourself forward, move your company forward on the data quality side. I mentioned kind of the chat. If you're just in the process of making it in, throw where you're located in the chat. Make sure you've got the chat set up to everyone. And then also, as we go through this, a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about, like I said, is going to be strategies, principles, examples, tactics. So if you all either have your own real life data quality battles that you're, kind of experiencing, challenges, problems, if you want feedback from the experts that we have here today, drop your questions, drop your scenarios, problems, challenges, thoughts, feedback, drop that stuff into the chat, and we will definitely take those things as we kind of go through the discussion today. And folks will be available afterwards if we, if there's things that we don't get to. So definitely throw what you got in the chat for us as we kind of go through this. Definitely meant to be an interactive sort of session. So with that, let me do some quick introductions. So I am Matt Volm, the CEO and co-founder of RevOps Co-op. For those of you that are not already members or know about RevOps Co-op, we are a group of 9,000 plus RevOps folks from all across the globe. We do a lot of digital events like this. We have a Slack group, a newsletter, a bunch of different content courses, lots of different programs. If you're not a member, definitely would love for you to become one. I will throw our website into the chat, revopscoop.com. And then with me, I have two folks from Openprise, Jasmine and Laura. So Jasmine is a director of demand generation and RevOps at Openprise, and Laura is a manager on the solutions and engineering team. But I'm going to let both of them do some quick introductions, either add to that on the professional side themselves. And I always like to ask panelists and speakers about some fun, kind of interesting personal fact that they can share as well outside of revenue operations and their work life. So Jasmine, I'll let you go first. Anything you want to add to that introduction, and then give us that one kind of fun personal fact about yourself, and then Laura, you can follow it up after Jasmine.
Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you everyone for being here. As Matt mentioned, my name is Jasmine Chung. I've been in marketing for about a decade now. Really started out from field marketing and into demand gen. So I've touched field marketing, channel marketing, demand gen, and really working closely with our sales team to make sure that all of the wonderful thing that marketing is doing is making into the sales hand in the right time and manner. And something fun about myself, I started playing the cello last year, so it's been about a year. So I just want to tell everyone it's never too late for you to pick up a new hobby, learn something. And as you can see, we have plants in the back. They also really enjoy music. So just good for all around. So that's a little fun about me.
I have two questions on that, Jasmine. So I guess my first is, how many plants do you have in your house? Because as you can tell, this is just my office, and I've got a whole bunch.
I think I counted like 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got that's probably more than me, but I think I'm certainly somewhere above 30 the last time that I chatted. And then my other question is, why did you choose the cello? Like, was that something, did you play that as a kid and you kind of picked it back up? Or was it just like, what was the inspiration there? Because it seems like a very specific choice for others. Like for me, if I were to say like, hey, I want to start playing an instrument, I would naturally pick something like, I don't know, the guitar or something like that. But yeah, why the cello?
So I always love the sound of cello, and it's actually one of the instruments that is the closest to human voice. So I just really love the sound of it. But growing up, I played piano, so I always had a music background. And I was lazy to learn French. So as a cop-out, I decided to go to cello instead to make myself a little better about the fact that I was delaying French. So that's why.
Lazy to learn French. That's funny. In that case, I'm very lazy. I don't know any other languages, but That's awesome. I love that. So, well, Jasmine, thank you for kind of giving us the quick spiel on yourself and your love for plants and the cello. And I agree, never too late in life to kind of do something new or try something new and put yourself out there.
Yeah.
So Laura, why don't you give us a quick spiel on you, give us one kind of fun personal fact, and then we can get into some of the content here.
Sure, sounds good. So Laura Marzola, again, manager of solutions engineering at Openprise. Been here for close to 4 years now. But the interesting fact, I mean, my professional background, I spent most of my time on the marketing ops and sales ops side, specifically with a big focus on digital advertising. So I've kind of felt all the pains that everybody's feeling on this call, and love doing the solutions engineering and demoing, right, is with my job now, but I've been in those roles before. And a fun fact about me, I don't know if you guys know who this is, but a little American history for you. Daniel Boone, famous frontiersman, explorer, one of the first folk heroes of America. That's my 6th great grandfather. And I actually visited his great granddaughter's grave a few years ago. So it's actually for reals. I'm actually related to this person.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
You all
so,
can Google it now if you don't know who he is.
yeah. So did you say, so was this something that you knew about like growing up? Was this something that, you decided to do one of those random ancestry things and all of a sudden it tied back? Like how, yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah, so my mom would tell me about this, and because I was questioning whether or not it was true, I actually finally went into Ancestry and did the actual lineage, and it really was true. And then when we went out to like the actual grave site, like his granddaughter truly did exist, and it's the same match that's on my Ancestry DNA tree. So yes, it's real. So it's a combination of both.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, I will, so Jasmine, I'll turn it over to you to kind of get things started and kind of lead us on the data quality path. But again, the goal of the talk today is that we kind of dive into some, common kind of data quality challenges, talk about, best practices, strategies, tactics, tips, tricks, things that we can do to solve for some of those things. And you all, you're obviously, you've been in the RevOps space for a while. Openprise has a product solution in this particular space. So you have, some very specific subject matter expertise here too. So I'll turn it over to you to kind of get us started and kind of lead us down the path of the discussion today.
Sounds good. And before we jump to agenda, Matt, you didn't think you'd get off the hook so easily. What's the fun fact about you that's not related to or music?
So yeah, thanks for calling me out on that, Jasmine. I appreciate it. Definitely not letting me off easily. So I've got I guess I'll give you 2, maybe 3. I mean, I already mentioned the weird plant obsession that I have, like 30 plus plants peppered in basically every room of our house. And it's also like I'll say combine my other obsession. Like these 2 things have essentially nothing in common. But the 2 things that I'm slightly obsessed with are basically plants and I'll say like physical fitness. So I love to do CrossFit, workout a whole bunch. So when I'm not hanging out with my family or working, those are basically the 2 like seemingly random things that I kind of obsess over. And then the 3rd thing that I'll mention is I was going to wear my hat today, but I've got a butterfly sticker on my hat because yesterday my 5-year-old was decorating me in stickers from a sticker book that he had. So that was the other kind of fun, interesting thing that I can share with folks. Yeah, no instruments, no languages, no like unique heritage.
Yeah. I like plants too. I just do the gardening outside. I kind of obsess over creating my garden. So there you go. We're all unique. We're all connected.
All right. Green thumbs.
Love it. And if anybody needs fitness tips, Matt is the guy to go to.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Matt, for having us. And let's just jump right into the agenda. So for today, we're going to start out with the state of RevOps, which is a survey that Openprise worked with a third-party vendor for us to get the responses. So we're going to dive a little bit into that. And if you would like a copy, we will be providing that to you after. The second would be the stages of full funnel with RevOps data automation, and then going with reasons why data quality is still an issue. And we're probably speaking to the choir here, but we're just going to jump through some of that. we're also going to look at manual to hybrid to fully automated processes. And then we're going to provide a sample RevOps automation processes with some roadmap that you could look at and really help you think about an approach, and ending it with things to consider with some call to action, some resources for y'all to check out. And as Matt mentioned, we would love to keep this interactive. So if you have any comments, questions, or if you would like to share your stories, please put them in the chat, and we love hearing about it. And thank you, David. I never knew that Tolo was had a physical benefit. So we're learning new things every day.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, as I mentioned, we're going to go into the state of RevOps, and this was about 100 RevOps respondent. And when we asked which area of your go-to-market strategy are most negatively impacted by dirty data, and as you can see, it was a very close tie between the ability to separate meaningful signals to decide next steps and prioritizing for ABM. And in the survey as well, it states that new research found that most marketers spend more than half of their work week on unautomated day-to-day tasks. Worse, nearly 30% said their marketing and sales teams are not integrated in terms of full data and processes. So what that tells us is that a lot of the marketing and sales teams are really looking at one pane of the glass and not looking at the full picture. If you're only looking at the marketing data and avoiding the sales data, but the customer journey doesn't quite end at the marketing stage. So really looking at the holistic view from marketing, sales, even extending to customer success is really the key. And about the ability to separate meaningful signals, I mean, I'm sure you guys are all faced with analysis paralysis or choice overload with just influx of channels and all the sources of where the data are coming from. And as these channels and these sources grow, oftentimes it kind of gets all sucked into either your marketing automation platform or your CRM, wherever your source of truth is. And if you're not able to document clearly where the data is coming in from, how often, the cadence, in different formats, it's bound to get clogged up and just over time be piled up. And then you just don't really know what to do with it at the end. And another piece of data that we thought was interesting was when we asked how many RevTech tools does your company currently have, the highest response was 1 to 9. So if you could think of if you're a smaller company or even bigger company, it's possible to have 1 to 9. I mean, 9 being really extreme, but even more extreme is 20 to 29, and that was the second highest. And the overcrowded tech stacks can really lead to dirty, disconnected, and or fragmented data, complicated processes such as rating or routing. And you're probably overpaying for systems that's not being used to the fullest. So you're using maybe partial of the solution. So at the end, you have duplicate systems that are maybe acting and doing similar things. And you're just overburdening your systems with too many other either point solutions or just bogging down the overall solution holistically. Laura, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's funny, like a lot of people that I talk to, part of the problem too is they inherit roles where multiple systems were purchased, and then to try to solve the backlog with that, they'll buy a couple other tools, and then it just keeps building and building and building. And so I think debt consolidation it's huge in the market right now. And then tying that all back to poor data quality. Imagine poor data quality running through multiple systems. You don't know which ones are doing what, which ones are overlapped, and then to try to actually act and function off of poor data, it's all going to affect this entire funnel, right? Again, like identifying what signals are actual meaningful, knowing what ABM accounts to like prioritize. If you don't even know where people are coming from, what they're looking at, if there's 5 of the same person, how do you really aggregate that all into one view so that you can have a nice 360-degree view of a plan of attack? So and just at like the most minimal example, I remember even when I was in digital marketing using Salesforce, and I laugh now because I remember we always used to say like Salesforce sucks, right? Because the data sucks. Well, it's not that Salesforce sucks. to the data source. So keep that kind of in mind, because you're only as good as the data in any of these systems. And if the data is not working, it doesn't matter how many pieces of tech stack you have, that's just going to pile on to the problem.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I don't know, blew my mind a little bit was I mean, even if you lump the 3 buckets that are all above 10 tools, I mean, that's more than 50% of people, closer to 60% of people that have basically more than 10 pieces of technology in their stack that they're managing. And yeah, I think it's easy to add, call it point solutions to solve for, say certain use cases or problems you're trying to solve for. But I think maybe one of the things that, either you may not think about in your evaluation of those point solutions, or one of the ramifications is the downstream data impact, right? Like you got another tool with more fields, more data points that it's generating, you hook up integrations, that data is now getting passed back and forth. And all of a sudden you look in your CRM to try to run a report and you're like, oh wow, I have like 5 different fields that all say like company size in terms of employee count. Like which one of these is right? Like one of them is blank, one of them says 50, another says 5,000. It's like data can be, that stuff can be all over the place. And yeah, those are again some of the things that might be hidden up front if you don't kind of consider them during your initial evaluation.
Yeah, and I'm sure we are all have experienced the shiny object syndrome, and we see something new, some new tool, and looks amazing, and then we oftentimes forget that a tool alone isn't going to help solve the issue, because at the end of the day, you need the resource that is knowledgeable in order to make the tool run. And then when you continue to add more tools, there's a break in the linkage of the customer journey. So that's also something to think about when you're implementing new tools, on top of the audit that should be done before any new tech stacks are added. And with that, we're going to go to the stage of the full funnel RevOps RevOps data automation. So this is a marketing funnel, sales funnel, and even customer success funnel that I'm sure y'all are really familiar about. And you might have seen this funnel slide before, but we just want to reiterate how data quality is really the foundation that's going to be affected for everything that's following on, and really the prerequisite. And imagine if you're building a house and you are building a house on sand or some shaky ground, everything that is built on top is definitely not going to hold later down the road. And after data quality, there are multiple steps that come after, such as data orchestration, integration, funnel automation, account administration like territory management, and of course, looking at the insights for you to make the right decision based on the data with analytics and attribution. Laura, did you want to add any color commentary on this?
Yeah, kind of a quick story. I mean, think about when I doing digital marketing, even back in the day, right? At the first stage of the funnel, we're trying to identify a lot of anonymous data. Who's visiting our site? Where do they come from? Once you're able to, at some point, right, whether it's through a technology or whether it's from them finally submitting that information willingly to you, once they become a prospect and they follow through this stage, this is where data quality really can start affecting everything. If you have multiples of them, if you have multiples of the company or account they're actually like associated with, and then if you're not able to necessarily track or pinpoint all the activities that happened throughout this entire funnel, that's where it's going to start to like bombard everything. So once they get to an MQL or SQL stage, if everything is not accurate from the get-go, at the very, very end, right? This is where we see marketers especially get frustrated with attribution. They have attribution and like funnel, not funnels, sorry, they actually have models that they want to fulfill. And you may be very privy and knowledgeable about different models that you want to utilize, but no matter what happens, you can put all that information on a big, pretty display chart. But if it's inaccurate, how are you going to go back and make better decisions all the way back at the top of the funnel, right? When you're deciding which advertising channels to keep using, which campaigns to keep targeting, etc. So it really does affect everything kind kind of full source from the very, very beginning. So just kind of keep that in mind. I know it's a funnel here, but it really can kind of be like a circle as well.
Okay, so we're going to go into the reasons why data quality is still an issue, and we would love to hear from you guys some of the reasons why you believe there's still an issue, because this is nothing new to us. It just really hasn't been solved, and we haven't really had a secret sauce that's going to solve, or a magic wand that's going to kind of make everything disappear. So some of the reasons that we've heard from past webinars and from past sessions from the community is that oftentimes it's just low priority. It's not really directly tied to revenue and becomes the forgotten child because all the other projects really take higher precedent over data quality. Number two is misalignment between teams, data processes, and definitions. If you don't have a glossary or documentation, or even when you do and you don't have proper enablement, just because people are coming in and out constantly and turnovers, or if you have loosely used terminology where sales may be using one term and marketing using a different, but they actually mean the different things. So just not being on the same page from different teams is going to cause misalignment. I'm sure you guys have experienced too many cooks in the kitchen, no clear ownership and responsibility. People want to stay in their own lanes, and really with no clear ownership, the accountability is lost. And everyone says, oh, that's a great idea, and this is something we should definitely attack. However, nobody is assigned with the project plan, with the dates for deliverabilities. So oftentimes it just, nothing happens. Either you don't have the tools or resources, or respectively, you have too many competing tools. So if you don't have any tools, or when we're going to go through the manual, hybrid, and fully automated. So if you don't have the right tools, if you're resource constrained, and that's really the only way, and or they say stick to the status quo. So that might also be another reason why you have an outstanding issue. Or you have tried but haven't really figured out the best way or approach. So you try to cobble things as a short-term fix, but really a long-term plan hasn't been established or built, probably because of all the following reasons that are on this page. And Caitlin on our chat mentioned because salespeople are not process people. So having the clear ownership and responsibility on who is going to really spearhead and drive these projects to finish and continue to maintain, just like our bodies, is going to be really key.
Yeah, and on that point, when you think about it, how many different ways can data get into, especially like a CRM, right? Even if you try to put some type of process into place and ask them to follow it, they're still gonna, we're still gonna skirt by things, duplicate accounts with missing information in it. I have a funny story with one of the clients that we onboarded where they were in the medical field, and reps were putting, because they didn't know like the actual contact's first and last name. So in first name, they would put like first name and then the actual last name, or they would literally just type in first name, last name, and the name would maybe be in the email, but it was just like a cluster. And then there was multiples of those, and having them try to tie them back to the actual company they were targeting was a problem. So how do you mitigate that with putting some type of process into place, but not you as not you being the human, being the one that has to act like a machine robot and go back and clean it up every day, because all of you guys have projects that take more precedence. You weren't hired to be a cleanup crew, right? But it is like the state of the world. And so that's where we start to talk about automation in this industry, up-level things, so that there are processes and are tools we can talk to you about that can help alleviate that which you cannot escape, right? It's just like the nature of the beast.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, I mean, you could have probably titled this slide, Jasmine, reasons why data quality will always be an issue, because, again, like none of these things are ever gonna go away, or, you might solve for one and then, encounter the other, right? Because at any point of your company's or your business's journey, right? Like at least one of these things is going to be held true, right? Think about like when you're first getting started and you first, have a CRM, do you think you have all the resources to and the time to appropriately manage like that tool, that system? Like I've been there before many a times. Like the answer is no, right? Like you've got a lot of other things that you're trying to do. And then you kind of graduate. You get to a point where it's like, hey, I can bring on some more resources and we can afford some more help. And now you've got like all the the bad data, the bad processes, all that stuff there. And maybe you've got now like a prioritization issue of like, well, how do I prioritize all that stuff with all the other things that I need? And then, I think some of the things that some folks are talking about in the chat too around like kind of culture and behavior, company culture. As you get bigger, right? Maybe you have a certain company culture that doesn't, necessarily understand the why on like why data quality is so important. And so I think it goes to and I think you've all mentioned in the chat on like kind of steps to building a data strategy and process for mitigating some of these things. And I think that's why some of the things you all are going to cover in the next few slides are going to be so critical, because these aren't just how do you solve for any of these things today so they don't become a problem. It's when you encounter these problems, because you inevitably will, like here are some, like real life tips, tricks, examples, strategies, things you can do to actually combat each of these.
Yep. And so first we're going to go through if you were just completely manually processing data. And this spreadsheet may look something similar to all of you guys that you've worked with before. You have a spreadsheet with the data and you are manually cleaning them up. And we're going to go through kind of the positives and negatives of doing it manually on here. So with any spreadsheet, some positive, maybe like event list. You have 100% control over how to prepare the data. So when you go to any different events, it comes in a different format. It has different meanings, different definitions per event, and they're really not one and the same. And even if you try to fully automate it, oftentimes for something like events, you're going to have to manually either update, prepare the data for it to be set up in a meaningful way, just because there's no event vendor that's going to standardize on one format. However, that's really where the positive ends. And the first negative is that manual tasks create unhappy employees, therefore turnover and more cost. And we all know that employees are our greatest and most expensive assets. And not sure who would want to do manual data cleanup for 40 hours per week. And that really could also inflate the database and end up costing your company tons of money that you may have not really realized. Like Marketo, they charge by the number of your database. So if your marketable database is inflated by 150, 130%, then you're just overpaying for data that you're not able to use, market, just really junk. And that really lengthens the prospect lifecycle and causes funnel fragmentation. And I know this one, we've all been there, done that, lost spreadsheet with multiple versions and duplicate. And of course, there ought to be some human errors if we're trying to VLOOKUP and try to get fancy on an Excel or even Google Sheet. And just, we're trying to minimize spreadsheet. And so these are some of the negatives of doing it manually.
Yeah, and to kind of bring it full circle, it's like, now imagine, like you see on the sheet, right? There's multiple versions of duplicates. There's 2 engine blocks, 2 beacons. Imagine this comes from an event. You can see there's gaps and holes on some meaningful data. And then you upload it to Marketo, let's say, and it transfers, it syncs over to Salesforce. And again, those reps, if I'm looking at you guys all saying like the why, they don't care, like it's true, right? They don't know why it's important. They're going to put in maybe 3 of the same thing too, right? Or utilize whatever record is important to them. And so now you have this mix of all these different ways data can enter your systems, right? Whether it's you manually spending hours trying to make these sheets as accurate as possible and to no avail, once it's in the system, you still have people complaining on the other side, and they're saying it's not accurate because there was data that came from somewhere else, right? Already existing in there. So the whole thing just gets really convoluted, and there's even more hours spent of your time trying to find out what happened.
Okay, so next we're going to go into the hybrid approach, where probably most companies are using the hybrid approach. So on the left, you can see Marketo. If you're trying to merge records and you have maybe 3 of the duplicates, it's still a hybrid approach, given that it is a little more semi-automated, and it is a little more intuitive user experience. However, someone still needs to be there in front of the computer and look at which activity was the most recent, which field am I going to keep versus disregard, and it could get really complex. And I believe there's a limit on how many dedupes or merge you could do on Marketo. So some of the plus is that it is a more intuitive user experience. And as I mentioned, it is a semi-automated RevOps processes. And at least you're working directly inside the source of truth across departments, whether it's Marketo or Salesforce or CRM. However, the negatives are that out-of-box functionality with limited customization, and there may be a need to code. And if your team is lean and mean and there's no level of coding, then you're stuck with what you have. Troubleshooting causes a cross-functional delays. And then from that, your API could be constrained from plugins and package services. We've definitely, not we as an Openprise, but in my past life, I've been faced with API just skyrocketing, and it took us so long for us to troubleshoot, really get to the root cause. And when the sales teams are not getting updated information on the latest, then there's a fire, and it causes a really stressful environment to even try to troubleshoot, to look for that cause. And the resource, the time, the stress, just everyone involved is not a fun experience.
Yeah, and a layer on that, Salesforce too, right? Like I have had my share of building process builders and things like that inside of there that are supposed to make it easier, but we all know that can be a pain, that those break, there could be errors there. And then if you try to layer on, some cute and cool looking functionality that you can find in somewhere like an Exchange or other tools outside of that, layering on top of that is just one additional thing to learn. So back to like that kind of the story that I told before, I'm going to keep with this theme, right? Like, how do you manage data coming in from multiple sources, utilizing multiple tools, you thinking whether you're doing this manual or hybrid approach that it's actually going to be accurate, especially on the marketing side, and then it crashes on the sales side or vice versa. Nothing is streamlined. No matter what process you put in place on one end, it seems to break on the other. Like, how do you solve for that? And this is what we're going to talk about in the next couple minutes, because I do have something for you, but stay tuned.
So we're gonna...
Sorry, and I saw how to get the Y across. This is, sorry, to your question, you're never going to get the Y across to the salespeople. That's just the state of the world, right? To some, you may, but not everyone's ever going to listen. They're still going to want to do it their way. How you solve this, that is through full automation, being able to have something other than a human fix that, so that you know that even if what you're doing might get messed with right after you do it, something can come in, pick that up, notice it, fix it, and then you can move forward with your day knowing that you don't have to go in and fix it. So that's that. You can't change people, but we can help at least manage what people are going to do in an automated fashion. Sorry, Jasmine, go ahead.
No, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
So jumping into the fully automated, you could see in the diagram here all the sources that your data could come from, and then the processes that it'll go through, and then putting it back into the respective system after it has been cleansed, routed, the full automation takes place. So with fully automated approach, it's seamless, no code automation, so you don't need a dedicated resource that if they leave and their code breaks, then you really don't need a reason for coding. This is a big one, the ability to test before implementation. So even like territory management, if you are, let's say, updating your territory and you want to test out different models before it affects Salesforce, and you want to, sit down with your CRO, see the data, see how it'll be distributed before everything goes live. That is a huge piece of plus, is the ability to test. The next is the full funnel unification, acceleration, and optimization. You first need to have things unified and accelerated in motion in order for it to be optimized. So it kind of goes back to the second point of testing out, analyzing it, and then going back to the drawing board and then tweaking from there. And it's really full service. So our CEO actually made us this shirt. It says, "Get your own damn data." So everyone is able to be self-service. You could give them the tools, teach them how to fish, and they would be able to fish after they learn. So it gives you more resource and the time back in your day. So for someone managing the tool, when it's more of a self-service model. It is completely customizable to your business needs, whether you're a startup to mid-level to fully enterprise. It's fully customizable, so really tailored to what your needs are. The cloud-based solution that doesn't sit directly on top of your marketing automation or CRM, it doesn't bog down the system of record or the source of truth. The only caveat is that powerful automation may require some learning curve, but we have to learn how to crawl before walking and running. So this is nothing new, but there may be some learning curve to reach the fully automated state.
And on this kind of fully automated version, and I think it was on slide 5 where you had the like the stages of the full funnel with RevOps data automation. Jasmine, one of the questions we had that I didn't see in time from Lindsay was kind of how customer and product data fit into the framework that you had on kind of slide 5. And I was actually going to ask a question on that, and it kind of ties into this to what we have on the screen here too. But like you showed the full funnel view on slide 5, and it was more from a like a person perspective, right? A human perspective. So as I was looking at this, I was like, oh, I wonder how same rules apply for, say, an account-based funnel if we were to look at it that way. And then Lindsay asked the question of how does customer product data kind of fit into this, because you have some other things on there on like account administration and funnel automation. So wondering if you can answer that question, and then maybe how does that tie into again, when you think about kind of fully automating your data quality or moving to a fully automated kind of a solution or process. How does customer product data kind of fit into that along with all the other kind of data points you have?
I can actually answer that one. And think about it as, well, because something like this is customizable, it's easy to bring that in. So like paint a picture like with a story, right? So let's just say that one of my obsessions is also animals, right? So they call me Snow White at work. Let's say that I am looking on the PetSmart site for some specific dumb clothing for my animals, right? I finally make a choice to engage with a display ad that I saw. Now, I go on the site, I'm adding it to my cart, I'm not technically sure, but there's some type of, ABM promotion that goes out that I see 3 days later that's on sale. And I decide that I'm going to choose that product but for a different color, right? This is like a quicker, more e-commerce version, but just bear with me. So I purchase the actual product, right? I actually have it, and then become a repeat customer, et cetera, et cetera. So thinking about how advertising affects either someone's behavior, if it's a very long enterprise life cycle that a lot of us are probably like used to dealing with, or whether it's a short like buying cycle, depending upon what influences those products, what products people actually utilize, how long they utilize them, what marketing was tied to them. Think of all of those data points. They're just if they are just fields, right? Data points that exist within your CRMs or marketing platforms or both, it's all usable data. So as long as, basic data is clean and ready to go when you're associating them with like the people in those companies that are interacting with them, an automated process or platform like this can pull all of those pieces of data. It doesn't matter what source it's coming from. So if you actually, sorry, go back to the little wheel thing you had, Jasmine, this is where it kind of follows this pattern. So imagine the ability for some type of platform to be able to pull in all that information, see where it came from, make sure it's cleansed, right? No matter what. Make sure that my record, Laura, I'm not duplicated so that you're not eventually attributing the purchase of that clothing, that dog clothing, to 3 Lauras, or 2 different Lauras with one product and the right Laura with a different product. And then ensuring that that attribute actually gets assigned to the accurate product, and we can actually tie it back to maybe like what advertising that I saw to make me want to buy that product. So that's kind of like the whole attribution story. If you're thinking about a whole sales ops story, same kind of thing. Like imagine that list, right? Marketing uploaded that list. Imagine that now we're going to be able to help identify that exists in Salesforce. This person is currently interested in your services. Oh, by the way, though, we're missing their mobile phone number and a couple of key pieces of information. Let's make sure and grab that. Oh, the rep that was working that territory, they're leaving tomorrow. Let's now assign them to the right person. Make sure that all that's in their lap and they're good to go with proceeding on to engaging with that actual prospect and helping to close the sale. So really think about it, I would say, in terms of your own process. We like to say, we were going to say it later, right? If you can write something down today, it can be automated with processes like these. And it's with a platform approach, it's not with a point solution approach. But if you want to see what point A led to point B, what product was included, and should we keep selling that product? No problem, right? When it comes to flexibility, if it's a data point that exists, then there's automation processes out there that can ingest it, aggregate it, and then serve it up to you guys the way it needs to be seen, whether it's a final attribution reporting, right, in your BI tool of choice, or whether it's just making sure that some net new lead got to the right rep in a very short amount of time, and that there's only one of them, like not 5 of them. So just like a couple of different examples, but keep in mind, again, if it's a data point, data is data, right? So we can find a way, right? I think all of us can find a way to utilize it. It's just, how do you get there, right? Which is what we're talking today.
Yeah. So yeah, it makes sense. And I guess like if you think about the customer journey and all the different tools that impact like customer journey throughout the entire life cycle, right? Not just marketing, not just sales, but also post sales, and all the data points that are generated along the way. That's where it kind of comes back to or ties everything back together, right? Of like, think of not only the funnel in terms of like the point at which someone becomes a customer, but then the bow tie or the reverse funnel on the end, right? Where now you start to work them, you start to retain them, renew them, expand their accounts, sell them more, right? And so you've got kind of both ends, and then in that case, it kind of fits in everywhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like for current clients, right? They buy one product. Okay, what other ones are they most interested in? And maybe certain people or clients that bought product A, there's a trend that's showing that they're navigating more towards product B and C versus D, right? So again, all data points that can go from beginning of life cycle to all the way beyond, almost like starting a new cycle with existing prospects.
And just to add to that, around like account-based execution, what we are currently doing is we drink our own champagne, of course, and we use the intent data, and we score it depending on what the topic or the theme of that next campaign is. If it's, let's say, around attribution, and then we'll score that intent topic, and that's at the account level higher than the rest of the intent topics. And that blends in with our ICP account information. And then we have the contact engagement score that could also be rolled up to the account level. So it really helps us to prioritize on which target account list to build to start out from. So really looking at all data points and not just marketing, not just sales, but as a holistic view, and then even adding intent in there, all really done via spreadsheet scoring mechanism instead of having to go and fix or update each scoring per like module, let's just call it. So everything is done via spreadsheet and looking at the full intent, your sales engagement, marketing engagement. So really just having the holistic view at the account level and at the contact level. Cool. So this is a sample of RevOps automation process specifically for list loading. Laura?
Yeah, so another kind of a similar story, right? Go back to that list, imagine, right? If you probably already do it every day, like these are all the steps that really kind of need to take place and could potentially be affected once you take that list and get it out to like your marketing and sales teams, like what actually needs to be done and how much time could it take for, if it's not a RevOps team, there's sales and marketing, multiple teams, right? Kind of like that multiple hands cookie jar to get some of these things processed. So what if you had a way that you were confident in that could quickly do it, and that entails ingesting, right, wherever that data came from, in this case, a list, making sure that it's cleansed, key fields are standardized, other fields are normalized, emails are validated to be true. If there's any missing data, like what if we have a list where a lot of things may have country or maybe some have zip, but no city, state, right? Instead of going in there and having to Google it yourself or manually filling it in, what if there was a way to automate that so that we could just infer, right? Anything that you could Google on your own, automate that so that that can actually get populated, right, within seconds. And then ensuring that information is not just deduplicated within itself, but then matched to your systems of record, right? There might be 2 Lauras on the list and you can delete that one really quickly. But now, are you going to go in and see if that Laura exists in the marketing automation platform and the sales automation platform, and then decide who's the winner manually and tell the marketing team to delete this one and sales is going to delete this or keep this one? So deduplication and matching can be a pain as well. And then is there any other white space that's missing? Like stuff that you can't necessarily infer, or do we have title? Do we have revenue? Do we actually have like headquarter address, mobile or phone numbers, stuff like that that's important? Does that need to actually be filled? And then how do you automate that process and combine it with the entire process that you see here? Matching also, unlike objects, when it comes to leads to accounts. Let's say now Laura is just Laura, but now is there a company that exists, right, that she needs to be tied to as a contact because somebody already is working that? Or is she truly like net new? And from there, applying different segmentation, maybe to her, right? Like, am I an actual, what's my buyer persona? What's my job function? Or once you get that revenue information on my company, do you need to segment it so that it equals an enterprise territory for you? Like, is that going to affect your actual territory management and routing when it comes to that, right? Being able to automatically segment that. Finally, being able to score action items, score like actual ICP demographics. And then once that's all said and done, making sure it does end up to the right person, again, in a minimal amount of time, either assigned to an existing or created like as something net new, right? So think of all the steps that need to take place for accuracy. And again, data quality is at the very beginning to just route a lead that came off of the list, right? It sounds simple when you say it, like, okay, I got this list from an event. I need to get it to the right person. This is really like all the steps that should be taken, and that you know that pieces of this, I'm sure you guys have had to dabble in, can be like a manual nightmare, right? And there's processes for a lot of different things, but this is just one example of how you can see, number one, how much heavy lifting might have to be done. And then hopefully this is why I think a pure automation strategy, especially coming from living a life in sales ops. I don't care whether it's Openprise or somebody else, like I would adopt that all day long, because 90% of your headache would be gone. This is just kind of your headache today laid out like on a little roadmap for you.
Yeah, I shuddered a little bit when you brought back like all these nightmares of when you said you talked about like deduping something in like one tool or system to only realize that you've got like 7 others that are connected to that, or maybe not based on like the right field or something, and now you've got to go and cross check all those other kind of tool systems as well. So yeah, the pain is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, duplicate, especially if you, I mean, lead to a lead, that's easy, but contact to a lead, contact to contact, or if you have duplicate accounts, that's still a very, very manual effort. And all of that Laura and Matt has explained is really for us to increase or decrease the speed to lead and the SLA, because the longer you takes for a sales follow-up or any follow-up to occur, I believe it's like 80% of the folks kind of lose interest and forget about it, especially in this given day and age. So super crucial and important. And we just wanted to show you a little glimpse into how Openprise views kind of the different processes for data quality specifically.
Yeah, so like the actual process I just laid out, this is it envisioned in RUI, right? And so the first thing you see in that step is the cleansing piece of it. All these are pre-built recipes that follow that same automation piece. We are huge on one platform, right? This is a platform that you would have to buy probably 7 to 8 different plugins for. But just to keep it simple, you can see that within each of these actual recipes, those little bubbles, that's no coding, it's doing what it's saying it's doing, right? So if we're talking about like a list that you guys get, the first thing, just a sample, it's not all of it, but let's make sure those emails are clean. They don't have ends in them. They're not junk. It's not Mickey Mouse, right? If website field is missing, you don't have to type it in. Like, let's pull it out of the domain from the email and like populate that, right? Let's make sure things are capitalized properly, normalize company names, so all the fluff, like the ink at the end of it is gone. Normalizing country is huge. You guys, depending upon how you see the world, maybe some of you want it all completely spelled out. Maybe some of you want it in ISO Alpha 2 code. This isn't just about net new, but imagine if you can automate that for your entire record count, right? It's 1 million records in your database. How long would that take you to download all of those, actually normalize them, upload it, put it back into your system? And then again, tomorrow, that rep's going to come in and change like 5 of them. So how do you keep that process going, right? So that you know that I always tell people that help clean your house and then we'll keep it clean. So how do you clean your house and then help keep it clean, right? You don't want it to be yourself, hire a maid, right? Whatever that may be, that's where the strength of it lies. And so it's very similar. You can kind of see that process on paper. This is how we run these things. You can see all those different steps, right? Segmenting that I was talking about, deduplication, matching, enriching, filling in those gaps, and then finally like grading and routing it. So this is just kind of like a little preview into how we take that process and automate it 100% in our UI.
Yeah, and these recipes are really built for and with our customers, for prospects. And we're learning from each other because these tools are ultimately for you guys, for your lives to be better at the end of the day. So with that, we're gonna show you a roadmap as a way for you to maybe rethink about our project plan. Laura, did you want to give a little insight?
Yeah, so I'm sure everybody thinks about this is like overwhelming. You can't solve everything at once, right? We just showed you that you can do 10 different processes in one place, but you have to start somewhere. And whether it's me, Jasmine, whoever that is, nobody should tell you to do all 10 of them at once. Data hygiene is obviously, again, that garbage in, garbage out, right? It's that first pillar. So being able to collaborate on best practices and actually, right, we're saying here, cultivate actionable data sets, making data work, right? Achieving some really like immediate wins, high impact wins from the get-go, and then basically adding on pieces that you need to solve from there. So this happens to just be an example of somebody really focused on distribution with the data hygiene issue, right? In that case, let's solve those basic data hygiene issues first, right? We're looking at like 3 months. And then we can start to look at all the campaign pieces. Now that the data is accurate, we'll check that out, decide what models we want to run with, get some of those wins starting so that now there's accurate information feeding into your BI tools of choice or your dashboards, right, in your systems of record. And then kind of take a look back at that 9-month mark and say, okay, what am I solving for now? What can I actually start to like shave off, right? Hit those milestones of that year, save money, and run on a completely like smooth engine. So no matter what the use case you guys are struggling with, and we can talk to you more about this too after the call, there's always going to be some type of roadmap rationalization to make sure that you combine that low-hanging fruit, make sure that data hygiene is always a priority. And then I really do have a roadmap where you're going to hit those goals and take it slowly, but effectively to ensure that eventually all those things you need to solve for get solved, but the most hair on fire things get solved first in a manner that's going to be best for your business rules.
And yeah, I agree with all that. And I think you mentioned this a little bit, Laura, but and Dylan put it in the chat too. If anyone wants to chat with Jasmine and Laura on any data related questions, whether it's like, again, anything we talked about today, you want their expertise on anything else, hit them up on LinkedIn. They're also both in the ROC Slack community, so you can DM them in RevOps Co-op Slack if you're a community member, or connect with them on LinkedIn, send them a message as well, and they're more than happy to, again, kind of donate some of their own time to just look at things with you and provide some of that expertise. And then Jasmine, I know we're basically at the top of the hour. We got about a minute left, so just we'll turn it over to you for any kind of closing remarks or anything that you want to kind of mention as we kind of wrap up here.
Yep. So I will just speed through some of the things to consider when going through the roadmap. Have a clear test plan and tools for evaluation. Be clear and document with the stakeholders and have a clear cut on who those stakeholders are. Find a common language between your departments. So have a glossary, dictionary, documentation where everyone is looking at the same document, speaking the same language. Never take anecdotal feedback from your team. Get into a meeting, document everything, and hear each other out, but don't take anecdotal feedback one-to-one. Don't ask for ideas on what to do, especially from your sales team. Reassess, are your needs still being met with the current workflow or provider? Always consider how your project ties with the corporate objective and ROI. And if you need a business case, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to walk you through and collaborate with you. And brushing it under the rug does not make it disappear. And I'm sure we're all accustomed to that. So these are some of the customers that we've have been able to help. And as a parting word, the survey data that we shared in the beginning, we send out the survey so you could check out the full survey. And we also do have some data governance templates, and we could also send these over to you. Even if you don't use the template field by field, you could at least see how to approach it based on the instruction on the sheet. So we'll send this to you guys after the session ends, but really appreciate all the engagement. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you both for kind of dropping your knowledge on this and kind of walking through this with us. Also, thank you for offering to donate your time and for kind of sending out these resources to attendees and registrants afterwards. And then thank you to everyone who attended today as well. Really appreciate it. So with that, I know we're about a minute over. I will let you all run. Thank you again, panelists and attendees, for joining, and I will see you all at our next session. So take care, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.